Welcome to the Kat Kanavos Show, everybody. I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, but my friends all call me Kat, so I hope you will too. Big shout out, hi to all of our live audience on the Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos author page. Our guest tonight is Beth Ross, and you will see her website down in the bottom there in case you want to click on anything and take a look while we are talking. Beth Ross is in charge of Blanket Tampa Bay. And Blanket Tampa Bay is a 501c3 charitable organization working to help the homeless by providing comfort in the form of blankets as well as hygiene products. So this all started one Christmas Eve at Trinity Cafe. And welcome to the show, Beth Ross, because I want to have you tell the story of how this all came about.
Well, it was really pretty amazing. Actually, the church that my husband and I were going to at the time got a very large donation, and they gave every family in the church $100 and said, go do something good. Usually churches want money, but this time they were giving money out. So I told my husband I wanted to buy blankets for the homeless. And I met with a friend of mine who runs a soup kitchen called Trinity Cafe. And I asked her how many people they serve every day. And she said 285. And so I said, what if I buy you 300 blankets and we pass them out Christmas Eve? And she said that would be awesome. So I created this Facebook page, and the same one I have today, and it went viral. I said that I wanted 300, and I ended up with 308. And I got blankets from Arizona, from Georgia, from Wisconsin, from Atlanta, from all over. So that was a pretty special year. And giving them out on Christmas Eve to the homeless, you don't think anything of getting a blanket, but to the homeless, it just a form of comfort. That's what I thought.
And it's, it's not just any blanket. It's a clean blanket. The homeless have to go and dig through the trash cans to find something to keep them warm. I've seen them with pieces of newspaper balled up and stuffed in their clothing to keep them warm, because Tampa is actually, we think of Florida as being hot, but Tampa is actually the frost line, and anything north of Tampa, including Tampa, it freezes. It gets down to frost, and those homeless are very cold. But what I found extremely fascinating about your information that you sent me was some of the stories about the homeless. We think of the homeless as, these people who want to live out there on the street, or people who don't have money because they made bad choices and things like that. And I was amazed at, for instance, the story of one of the homeless that you actually embraced, and that was Charles. Yeah. Can you tell us about Charles?
Yeah, when I was going to work one day, and as I was at this stoplight, I looked over, and there was a little strip mall, and there's a bus bench, and this homeless man was sitting on it. And in Tampa, you're right, you don't think of it as being cold, but because it's very humid, it's a cold, it's a wet cold, and
goes through to your bones.
Oh yeah. And this gentleman had on a t-shirt and jeans, and that was it. And it was real windy, and it was really cold. It was in the 30s. And I went to work, and I came back, and I remember sitting at the stoplight looking at this guy across the street thinking, I can't believe he's still there all day. So I pulled in the shopping center, and I asked if I could help him, and he said no, he didn't want any help, and to leave him alone. So I went home. The next morning I saw him again, and he's kind of leaning over a little bit. Asked him again if I could help him, and he said nope, just leave me alone. Went on to work, and when I came home that day, second day, I was just stunned because he was there again. So I zipped in the parking lot again and asked him if I could help him. There's a Subway there, so I asked him if I could get him some coffee or something hot, and he didn't want anything. And I went home, And that night, as my husband and I were crawling into bed, I told him, I said, this man is on my mind. He's just in my heart. I can't stop thinking about him. So will you go with me to go check on him? So we did. And
That night?
That night.
You got back out of bed and you went and checked on this man?
Yeah, because he was just on my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about him. Okay. So we went and checked on him, gave him another blanket, and the third morning when I went out there, he was laying flat. And I called a friend of mine who is he's with the Tampa Police Department, and he is a liaison for the homeless. And I told him, I said, you need to come look at this gentleman. And he did. And it turns out the gentleman had been on the bench for 4 days, and he had broken hips and kidney failure. And he had fallen and crawled to the bench. And so they sent him to St. Joseph's Hospital. They did surgery on him, fixed his kidneys, and he was in there for about 6 or 7 weeks. But it wasn't until they sent him to a rehab place, they found out that he had been an employee of Pinellas County Schools for over 30 years. And he and his wife had been married later on in life, and she had a grown daughter who was also on the mortgage. The wife passed away, and the daughter kicked him out. And he was so despondent from losing his wife and losing his house that he tried to commit suicide. And thank you, God, that he didn't. But I met him, and now he's living in an apartment on his own. But it's stories like that you hear from so many different people that they all are not alcoholics. They all aren't druggies. They all aren't bums. They're people, and they all have stories.
And so that blanket you gave him saved his life. And it was sort of like a blanket of love to just get him to the hospital.
Oh yeah, and it's just one of those things that I always think about him, and we serve every Monday night. We serve about 160, 180 people, and we pass out blankets and hygiene products and help feed them. But I always ask everybody, what's your story? Why are you on the street? And sometimes you hear some of the most poignant stories.
And they're all different, I'm sure.
Yeah. And it's just amazing.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, after you hear things like this from you, the next time you see somebody in a street corner sleeping on the ground, you're not going to look at them quite the same way. You're not going to look at them in that moment and say, oh, a homeless person.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly you're going to look at them and go, what's their story? Why are they here?
Right.
What happened? But by the grace of God, that's not me.
Exactly. There's a man that I met the other day. His dog, he has no family, and his dog is his family. And he called me because his dog needed surgery, and it was going to cost $850. Well, through my Facebook page, I have a lot of followers, and they contacted the CEO of the Humane Society here in Tampa, and she comped the surgery. And so when I called him and told him, he bust up into tears and was just so thankful. But if I hadn't had the Facebook page, the dog wouldn't have had the surgery, and this man wouldn't have his dog.
And he would, his dog is his only companion. It's his only friend. And the dog doesn't care if he's sleeping on the ground.
Exactly. And this
just wants to be
guy loves his dog so much. It's just amazing.
So tell us about your Facebook page. How can we find your Facebook page?
It's just called Blanket Tampa Bay. 3 words. And it's just, it just grows. It just grows every single day. I get more people.
It's wonderful. So let's talk about some of these hygiene products that the homeless need. White athletic socks.
Right. Well, actually, not white athletic socks anymore, because I have contacted a company. You've probably heard of them, Bombas socks.
I have.
Yes. I get socks from Bombas. They send me socks, and I get soap and shampoo from a company called Clean the World. They're an international company. They send stuff to third world countries, and they take soap left over from hotels that hasn't been used, and they melt it down, and they cut it into bricks and send it to me. along with the shampoo and conditioners. So I get all that free. But the other stuff that I need is stuff like hand sanitizer, foot powder, and all of these in travel size, toothpaste and toothbrushes and deodorants and mosquito bands. They sell them on Amazon. Some people have never heard of them before, but rain parkas, things like that. Those are the things that we use a lot here.
And maxi pads for women.
Oh yeah, and the women on the street have gotten mad at me before because I don't pass out tampons. But the reason I don't is because the women on the street will leave them in too long and get toxic shocks in them.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
I pass out sanitary napkins.
Yes, I know that is true. It's amazing. So, I was talking, we met through the editor-in-chief of Biz Catalyst 360 magazine, Dennis Bitico, and I heard that he is going to be with you. He and his wife are going to be with you Christmas Eve. They're going to be passing out blankets, and then you're going to go feed the homeless?
Well, we aren't going to feed the homeless. No. But they do feed the homeless that day. But while we're passing out the blankets, people are being fed.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. I was reading the email and I was going, boy, are you guys going to be busy? And the reason that's important is because this show that you're watching right now is going to be turned into an article for Biz Catalyst 360. Wow. And then I'm going to turn it into an article for Pathos. So lots of people are going to be hearing about this and reading about this. So what is one other thing that you would like to share with our listeners that's really important for Blanket Tampa Bay?
Well, the other thing that I want to tell you real quick is that we're trying to build what's called a Tampa Urban Rest Stop. It's going to be a place where the homeless can go and take a shower, wash their clothes, and use the restroom without bothering businesses. And it's going to be a standalone building. And besides that, I have staffing companies that have come alongside and said, well, we'll help get them jobs. I have a man that owns several barber shops, and he said, we'll cut their hair. We'll give them beard trims. We'll get them cleaned up. I have a clothes closet, and I have a friend who's a licensed mental health counselor that said that she would work with them once a week. So I'm trying to solve a community problem by giving them jobs and getting them off the street.
Oh, this is incredible work, and I'm so glad you came onto the show and shared this. So, this is going to be going on again. This is 3 years. This is the third Christmas.
Yeah, it is. The first Christmas was 308 blankets. The second one, this is the fourth Christmas. And the second one was 800 blankets. Last year we got 1,000, and now we're trying to collect 1,500.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
that is just amazing.
There are a lot of people that need help.
There are. And they've got you. Thank goodness they've got you.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you so much for being on the show with us tonight. Your stories have been wonderful. I hope you will come back and tell us how everything is moving right along, because we really do want to know. So those of you watching live, thank you so much for being with us here tonight. And thank you also to Rachel, our producer. She's behind the scenes, and she's also in Tampa Bay. So don't be surprised if you see her show up. So join us again next Tuesday night, live at 5 Pacific time for our guest. And then we will be on a short break for the holidays, and we'll see you back the second week of January in the new year, 2018. Wow. So I know, where did the year go? Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Thank you.